I played Fallout 1 for the first time, from start to finish, a few months ago. I did it on stream actually, but where are my pro gamer skills? So why am I making a video about it now? Well, it's just such a festive game, perfect for December, and there's no other reason. Something I've been noticing with these old RPGs, as I've been exposing myself to more of them, is that playing them in unintended ways is actually intended, or at least it's accounted for. Let me explain. Most of the skills and traits in this game are combat focused, and when you're finally dropped into the game world, you're surrounded by aggressive rats that want to kill you. So obviously, you're meant to fight them off. That's the intent. But what if you just ran away? From everything. Can you actually beat the game without so much as throwing a punch for every single encounter? And obviously, that doesn't mean hiring a bodyguard to do it all for us. That wouldn't count. For those who entered the Fallout series with Fallout 3 or later, you're going to be in for a bit of a surprise with how drastically different this game plays. But it starts out the way you'd expect. Creating our character. You distribute your special stats, pick some traits, and tag a few skills. That much is familiar. And like later games, charisma is a dump stat. But since I'm not sure how soon we'll need high speech, we're going to put it up to 6, so our speech gets a slight early boost. Perception could be helpful in dealing with random encounters, but not helpful enough for us to want to waste any points on it. We want most of our points in agility and intelligence. The former determines how many action points we get per turn, yeah, Fallout 1 is turn-based, and intelligence affects how many skill points we can allocate per level. The good-natured trait lowers our combat skills while boosting first aid, doctor, speech, and barter. So there's really no drawback in taking it. And Jinxed is fun. Critical failures happen more often, to enemies and allies alike, including ourselves. Critical failures are things like dropping your gun in combat, or accidentally hurting yourself while attacking. We won't be attacking, so this is a purely defensive trait. We're tagging Sneak, Repair, and Speech, granting each skill not only a significant immediate boost, but they'll also increase at twice the rate. Allocating one skill point into a tagged skill grants 2% of level. These numbers go up to 200% for some reason. I don't know why it's a percentage, but bigger number better. Maybe it's a direct modifier, so your chances are multiplied by the percent of the skill. 200% in a skill is double the chances, I don't know. Once our character is made, we're met with the glorious Neanderthal overseer of Vault 13, Jacorin, or Jackarin. Is it ever actually said? I've never heard it said.
The controller chip for our water purification system has given up the ghost.
He gives us the rundown of what's going on, the inciting incident, the reason why we're doing this whole thing. And if you know anything about Fallout 1, it's probably the infamous time limit. The controller chip for Vault 13's water purification system has failed, meaning the vault will soon run out of potable water. We have 150 days to find a water chip and return it to the vault before everybody gets super thirsty. He did give us a lead, thankfully. Vault 15 to the east. Leaving the vault places us in a cave right next to the last guy that left the vault. Or perhaps he was returning and wasn't let in. Hate to be that guy. He's got some loot on him though, so his misfortune is our gain. We won't actually be using the knife or bullets, but we can sell them. This cave is full of rats, the tutorial enemy, and they aren't even rad rats. What kind of Fallout game is this? By activating Sneak, we can sneak. The chances of enemies initiating combat with us is reduced, and because we tag Sneak, our sneak level is high enough that we can skirt past every rat without them so much as looking at us. If they did try attacking us, we would still be able to run away, but our movement would be limited by how many action points we have. That little detail will be easier to explain once we're actually in combat. Leaving the cave brings up a map on our Pip-Boy 2000. From here, we can select places to travel to. Since we were given the location of Vault 15, we can select it from the list and start heading in that direction directly. But it's not just a waiting simulator. You're not just watching yourself Indiana Jones across the map. Random encounters of all kinds can occur while you're traveling. Some dangerous, some beneficial, some just flavor. Wow, editing is so engaging and fun. Hey, narratively spurious cyborg. I've noticed you haven't been wearing your hat lately. What gives? Well, extended use of it has caused a tear to develop in the fabric of it. So then where have you been getting all the sponsorships? Well, that's simple. I just use the mass accentuating low liminal existence transporting space. Speaking of which, I have another sponsor for you. War Thunder, the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made, is available to play for free on PC, console, and mobile. Not only is there a huge amount of vehicles to choose from, over 2,500 tanks, planes, helicopters, and ships from 10 different nations, but every one is intricately modeled down to its individual components, each of which is susceptible to damage, making combat more than just click to kill. Disable engines, attack fuel tanks, destroy weapons, and with the damage X-ray view, you can see exactly what kind of damage you did to the enemy, or what kind of damage they did to you. Immerse yourself with War Thunder's realistic graphics and authentic sounds. Use my links in the description or pinned comment to join a worldwide community of over 95 million players. New players, or those who haven't played in 6 months, will also receive a massive bonus pack across all platforms that includes multiple premium vehicles, the exclusive vehicle decorator Eagle of Valor, 100,000 Silver Lions, and 7 days of premium account, available for a limited time only. On the way to Vault 15, we stumble across another point of interest, Shady Sands. What would one day become the capital of the NCR is little more than a meager settlement. I'm sure it'll have a long and fruitful history going forward. Shady Sands has a few side quests that would be worth doing if we were interested in combat, but we aren't, so instead, we chat with Ian, ask him for directions to the hub and to Junktown, which places both locations on our map, and then buy a length of rope from Seth, one of the guards at the gate. We're going to need that. If you aren't sure what to do, you can go around the settlement and talk to NPCs and see what information they have, and you'll eventually run into Aradesh, a talking head.
Greetings. Your business in Shady Sands might be...
Voiced by Tony Shalhoub, of all people, and his daughter Tandy is voiced by Cree Summer.
I've never been out of here, so I don't know what help I can be. So, what you need?
Finding a talking head is usually a good sign that the character is important, or at the very least they have something interesting for you to do. But right now, Shady Sands is having an issue with rad scorpions, and it's something we can't help them with, so we're gonna move on. Before we get too deep into the weeds, I should point out we're not actually playing Fallout 1. Not technically. It's Fallout Et 2. Which is Fallout 1 ported into Fallout 2. It primarily incorporates the conveniences of Fallout 2 into Fallout 1, such as being able to use the scroll wheel in inventory screens, or having a take-all option in loot windows. It also adds some weapons, some new random encounters, and some cut content, but for the sake of this run, none of that is terribly significant. Anyway, here we are at Vault 15, our first real challenge. An optional one, actually. If you've already played this game, you already know that you can skip over this little diversion. But there's a quest to complete here that doesn't require any combat, and we want that XP. As you can see, combat is quite a bit different from the Bethesda-era Fallouts. Not only is the game isometric, but the combat is turn-based. You have action points, based on your agility, that you can spend by performing actions in combat. Moving, attacking, opening your inventory, interacting with world objects, looting enemies. We need to place the rope we bought from Seth in this elevator shaft. Because we're in combat with a giant mole rat thing, it costs 2 AP to place the rope, and 4 to climb down. We don't have 4 points remaining this turn, so we must end our turn, converting 2 AP into 2 AC. Then we let the mole take its turn, which it uses to get closer to us. But it doesn't have enough AP left to attack. The next turn, we have full AP again, so we can use 4 to descend. It takes a bit of getting used to, but once you do, it's actually pretty engaging. We won't be engaging with much of it, however. Most of our action points in this run will be spent on movement. On the second level of the vault, we run through the mole rats to the locker across from the second elevator shaft. In the locker is a length of rope and a leather jacket. Not only does the jacket provide a bit more armor class and damage reduction, but it also makes us look cool. On the third level, we've got a bunch more mole rats taking pot shots at us as we run to the southeastern corridor of the screen. In this direction is what should be the command and control center. Unfortunately, the door is completely blocked with rubble. It doesn't matter if this vault's water chip is still functioning, we have no way of getting it. Learning this completes a quest, netting us 500 points of experience, halfway to level 2. And then we get surrounded by mole rats preventing us from running away. Our only chance of escape is if one of the rats critically fails and dies somehow. So I had to reload an earlier save and run through the vault again. I tried to be more stealthy, but the giant mole rats were quite perceptive and kept noticing me. Once we escape the vault, we head southwest to the hub. Many of the random encounters you encounter while traveling in the overworld are combat-based. Sometimes they'll be simple, like being attacked by a singular rad scorpion. Other times they'll be more flavorful, like local guards on patrol or hunters admiring their haul of dead geckos. Nothing too exciting happens on our way to the hub, so when we arrive, we're none too worse for wear. This place, as you'd expect, is a hub for traders and travelers alike, and if you spend enough time roaming the city, talking to everyone you can about finding that water chip, you'll eventually stumble upon the Fargo traders. We ask Rutger that we're looking for work, and he tells us to speak with Butch, and Butch has a talking head.
What do you want? Time is money, chit-chat is not money. You hear about the job or what?
Why would a random caravan leader have a talking head? He must be pretty important. Caravans have been going missing. No one knows what's happening, and he wants us to figure it out. And ideally, take out whoever's responsible. There are some rumors, though.
You really want to hear it, huh? Well, some say it's the Deathclaw. But I don't know nothing about that.
You sound scared.
Listen, I ain't scared. I'm cautious. You'd be stupid not to be. With the Deathclaw. Look, go talk to Beth. She'll tell you more.
That's Ron Perlman, by the way. He's also the narrator of pretty much every Fallout game. I think he also has a cameo in Season 2 of the series. So they think it's a Deathclaw that's disappearing the caravans. Dealing with a Deathclaw while being a pacifist might be a little tough, but as far as I'm aware, it's not mandatory. We'll come back to it. Further south in the hub are the water merchants. The master merchant says we won't find a water chip here in the hub because without the proper equipment, they're more or less useless. You won't find them outside a vault. Necropolis, she suspects, may have one. The water merchants tried initiating trade with the inhabitants of Necropolis, but they refused. The only reason someone would reject fresh water is if they have a reliable supply of their own. Pretty good lead. While we're here, we could actually pay a hefty sum to the water merchants to deliver extra water to the vault. It's not a permanent fix, but it does extend the 150-day time limit, an option for the anxious player. But nothing ever goes without consequence. We're not going to do it. For a little more XP, we speak to Mrs. Stapleton, the hub's librarian. We convince her to part with a holodisk containing data on water chips. Although the information isn't terribly enlightening, downloading the holodisk into our Pip-Boy grants 100 XP, a sizable amount at this point in the game. Since we spoke about Necropolis with the Master Merchant, it now appears on our overworld map, making it easier to travel to. You don't actually need to pre-find any locations to go to it. If you yourself know where a place is on the map, you can just go there directly. I just don't think it would make for a very satisfying video if we skipped over a bunch of the narrative stuff. It's gonna fall apart soon, don't worry. On our way to Necropolis, we're attacked by a wandering pack of ghouls. Perhaps this explains why Necropolis is called Necropolis. Ghouls don't tend to use guns, so escaping from them is rather simple. Just run as far as you can, every turn, until you hit the leave the screen area. Necropolis is an interesting place. Unlike the hub, traversing it isn't as simple as running from one end of the screen to the other. Instead, you have to crawl through the sewers and emerge in a different part of the city. The biggest problem I have with this is that the manholes aren't super obvious. Well, they're obvious, but it's not obvious that you can do anything with them. They look like scenery, not interactable objects. I suppose the hint is that no other place has manholes like these, so when you get here, they're novel, but maybe other places do and I just never noticed? I don't know. My modern gamer brain is too smooth. In the sewers, we find a pack of peaceful ghouls. We're told it's Set, another ghoul, who controls the surface of Necropolis and controls the settlement's water supply. Set doesn't care for these peaceful ghouls, but he allows them to squat in the sewers in the event of an outside invasion. He needs the numbers. After a bit of conversation, we learn that the ghouls used to get their water out of the ground by using the pump in the watershed. But ever since the pump broke, they turned to Necropolis's nearby vault and started using its water purification system. So now we know there's a water chip here. We just need to get it. And we should probably fix the ghouls' pump first. Taking their only access to drinkable water would be quite the dick move. The vault is actually where a bunch of the inhabitants of Necropolis came from. The vault started leaking radiation, a bunch of them mutated, came on out, and the rest is history. To repair the pump, we first need to collect some spare parts. Fortunately, there are some right here in the sewers. Unfortunately, they are surrounded by a bunch of giant mole rats. Did you know mole rats are the only cold-blooded mammal? If our sneak were better, we may be able to get in and get out without alerting any of them. But our sneak isn't better, so they attack almost immediately. It's that pile of trash in the corner we need to loot. Not obvious, but that's just how Fallout 1 is, baby. So after trying to get these spare parts to no avail, we instead leave Necropolis and return to the hub, in the Old Town section of the city. In this building here, in a box in the corner, behind the wall, is a singular pile of junk. That is, spare parts. Yeah. Back to Necropolis. Ow, they're throwing rocks at me. Ah! At the watershed in Necropolis, we find a super mutant presence. They're actually holed up within the building containing the water pump. Can never be easy.
Hey, you not look like ghoul.
This one has a talking head, Harry. We can tell him we actually are a ghoul, and whether or not he believes us is based on our speech level. It's a skill check, but unlike, say, New Vegas, it's not a hard skill check. Sometimes you'll fail, sometimes you'll succeed. How often depends on your levels. A lot of the skill checks in Fallout 1 are like this. So save scumming is a strategy.
Okay. Move along then.
Succeeding the skill check makes these super mutants non-aggressive. so we can enter the pump room without any problems. Gotta make sure you save before attempting to repair the pump. A critical failure will damage the parts, making them useless, and we don't want that. We equip the parts and use them on the broken pump, and after a few attempts, we fix the pump and get 1000 points of XP. If we had just stolen the water chip, we would have missed out on this. And this gets us our first level. We have 23 skill points to play with. I know we'll need 75-ish repair eventually. I'll explain why when we get there. So we'll throw some points that way, and the rest we'll place in sneak. I don't know how good sneak is in Fallout 1, but we're gonna find out. So now we need to find the vault and grab that water chip. There's a ghoul locked in a cell not far from the pump, and by picking the lock on the door, we not only get 500 XP, but the ghoul tells us the cell next to his leads to the vault. We climb down the first sewer hole, then the second, and find ourselves at the mouth of a corridor guarded by 2 glowing ones. A special kind of ghoul. They aren't feral, like the glowing ones in later games, but they are aggressive, so we'll try sneaking by. Oh, it worked! Nice. The ghouls within the vault aren't aggressive, however. I guess they assume if the guards outside let us in, then it must be okay for us to be here. Confidence is key. Pretend you're supposed to be here, and everyone will assume you are. Also, walk around with a clipboard. People won't bother you if you have a clipboard. We take the elevator down to the 3rd level, run past the ghouls poking a dead body, and then we fiddle with the console with flashing lights. This shuts down the vault's water purification computer, and it allows us to take the water chip, netting another 2500 experience and bringing us up to level 3. It's time to choose our first perk. In Fallout 1, you get perk options every 3 levels rather than every other level. We'll take Smooth Talker. For each level we have in this perk, our intelligence will be treated as 1 point higher for purposes of dialogue only. I have no idea how useful this will be, but it sounds like it would help, so whatever. Here and Now might have been better. An extra level immediately means another helping of skill points. Oh well. Let's push Sneak up to 100%, Repair to 75%, and start throwing some points into Science. It's not a tagged skill, so 1 skill point is only worth 1%, but we're gonna need Science for the endgame, so it's best to get on top of that sooner than later. You know, you can sorta beat the game by talking to Harry and having him take you to his master. It's the bad ending, but it's an ending nonetheless. I don't want to ruin the surprise though. We'll return to this later. Water chip in hand, we travel back to Vault 13 as the crow flies, assuming that crow gets harassed by scorpions every now and then. Danger, Will Robinson. We give the Overseer the chip, and he briefly goes into an ASMR monologue while installing it.
Okie dokie, 1 moment, the chip is initializing. There it goes. Self-test is green. Reboot is good.
He dismisses us to the library, where we record our mission report, and gain another hefty chunk of XP, enough to get us to level 4. 116 speech, and 77 science. That sounds good.
I just wanted to let you know that the water supply is stabilized. Actually, we're rebuilding our reserves. You did great. I am a little concerned, however.
Concerned about what?
I don't like your reports. What was in the reports, that is. In fact, they scared the heck out of me. It's those mutants. I've done some calculations and... well, I've come to an unpleasant conclusion.
What's that?
The mutant population is far greater than could be expected by natural growth or mutations. This leads me to believe, and I don't really understand it, but it looks like someone's generating new mutants, and at a startling rate.
So there must be a lab somewhere.
Exactly. And as you've probably guessed, none of these mutations could have occurred naturally, even with the radiation from the war.
What do you want me to do about it?
As long as someone is creating hostile mutants at this rate, the Vault's safety is at stake. Find and destroy this lab as soon as you can.
Once more into the breach. Just, dismantle an entire lab full of mutants.
You have no idea how sorry I am to send you back out.
Before heading out, we're going to resupply by swiping a bunch of stuff from these lockers. Vault suits, canteens, medicines. Could be worth selling. Don't take so many supplies. Try and stop me, nerd. So we gotta find the source of the mutants and put a stop to it. But where would we even start looking? Well, there was that whole deal with the Deathclaw attacking caravans. The quest giver had a talking head, so it's probably important. Butch had told us to speak with Beth and get her take on the situation. So let's pop into ye old gun shop. Word on the street is that some people believe the water merchants are responsible for the disappearing caravans. Beth personally believes it's the Deathclaw, or possibly the Brotherhood of Steel. Her description of the Deathclaw does sound a bit hyperbolic, but there's a mutant in Old Town, she says, that actually saw the thing with his very own eyes.
Spare change, old friend, old pal?
Aye, saw the thing with his own eye. So this is Harold. He's a friendly fella, and he actually makes an appearance in Fallout 2 and Fallout 3.
Well, after the Great War, my vault was one of the first to open. Phew, long time.
He is an oddity, though. He looks like a ghoul, but he's not quite a ghoul. See, he was born before the Great War, entered a vault at the age of 5. When the vault began running out of resources, he left and made a living as a trader. Even back then, the Wasteland wasn't unfamiliar with mutants, and it was a friend of Harold's, Richard Gray, who discovered the source of the mutants.
Some sort of old military base. We lost a lot of folks getting in there.
With a small squad of caravan guards, Harold and Richard led an expedition into the base, where just about everybody in the party died. Gray was knocked into a vat of some green glowing acid, and Harold was knocked unconscious. But how did Harold survive?
Didn't. Got killed. God, I love that joke.
He woke up in the wasteland, already starting to mutate, when he ran into a group of friendly traders. They brought him back to the hub, where he's remained ever since. Well, that's a lead we didn't expect. The source of the mutants is likely the Mariposa military base. But where is that? Maybe we'll get another lead after we deal with the Deathclaw. Harold has some pretty standard advice on how to fight a Deathclaw.
Well, from what I've heard, maybe whack it in the head. I'd try the eyes.
Go for its eyes. Great. The man outside Harold's house is a few bottle caps short of a six-pack, but he's still able to pin the Deathclaw lair on our map. It's done a few squares west-northwest of the hub. At the end of the lair, we find not only a Deathclaw, but a dying super mutant. He's talking. He seems confused. We can't kill the Deathclaw, but if we can sneak past it, we may be able to extract some information from that super mutant before he croaks. Easier said than done. Sneak is a fiddly thing. I looked up the specific mechanics of how it calculates sneak checks in this game. It's weird. I'm not even going to bother explaining it. Just cross your fingers and hope it works. With a bit of patience, and a good deal of persistence, and saves coming, we manage to reach the super mutant before the Deathclaw spots us, opening a dialogue window. We ask the mutant who he is, but he can't remember, and instead hands over a bloody hollow disc. We ask the mutant where he came from the Northwest, he says. He and his team were scouting for primes. We ask the mutant who sent him. He calls out for father, for master, and he breathes his final breath. Oh! Thankfully, Deathclaws seem to only have 9 AP, just like us, so running out of the cave wasn't too challenging. Run away, he runs up to us. Then it's our turn, so we run away again. The hollow disc the mutant gave us says he was part of Scavenger Team 2, and their job, it seems, was that of collecting humans, living humans, that they've been sending ahead, perhaps to the Mariposa military base. The hollow disc says the humans might be able to survive the process. The process of traveling to the base? Weird wording. Weird indeed. Butch doesn't seem too convinced that the disappearing caravans are the mutants doing.
What, do I look a crate shy of a load? Did you even see the Deathclaw?
I'm telling you, it wasn't the Deathclaw.
Alright, so it wasn't the Deathclaw. But what with the mutants in Old Town, what with our caravans? Unless it's some kind of conspiracy.
No, you pinhead. These mutants are big and green and they come from the Northwest. They work for some loon called the Master.
The Master? He's more of a myth than the Deathclaw. You don't think he's real, do you?
I don't know, but I'm gonna find out.
Dunnan, yeah, you do that. I need to talk to the committee. They'll know what to do. Now get out. I got a lot to do, okay?
In his fear, Butch forgot to pay us. But Rutger, his doorman, does. He even throws in 300 extra caps because he's oh so grateful. So we know the mutants are coming from the Northwest. But the Northwest is a big place. I wonder if the Brotherhood of Steel knows anything. We don't know where their base is, but we can actually take on a job with the Crimson Caravan and travel with the Crimson Caravan on their next trade mission to the Brotherhood. We'll even get paid for being a quote-unquote bodyguard. Or maybe we'll go to Boneyard first. It's the remnants of Los Angeles and... Okay, listen. I've played this game before. I know what I need to get in Boneyard. It's hard to be coy about everything, because I don't know the narrative through line that would take me there to do this pacifist thing, because, whatever. We're going to Boneyard. The Crimson Caravan heads out twice a month, on the 3rd and the 17th. It's currently the 1st, so we don't have to wait very long. Every time I've worked for caravans, there's always been one single encounter along the way. Maybe there's a chance to get no encounters, and maybe there's a chance to get multiple. I'm not sure. I've only ever seen one. What I do know is that a dozen giant mantises, even when up against multiple guys with guns, are a bit of a threat. They surround you, and you can't run away. Second try, we're attacked by raiders. All the other guards died, and the raiders immediately went to attacking the Brahmin for some reason. Want to know what happens if you just run away? Ah, we've arrived in Aditum, part of the Boneyard. The caravan leader ain't too happy with his whole caravan being lost, so he doesn't pay us. But we didn't join up with them for the caps anyway, so he can't force us back to the hub. We win. In the western part of the Boneyard is the headquarters of the Followers of the Apocalypse, a seemingly religious group, but they're more of a collection of philosophically aligned individuals. They're a humanitarian group that goes around the wastes providing education and medical care to those in need, while also carrying warnings about what originally caused the apocalypse. The hope is, as society rebuilds, this knowledge will prevent the apocalypse from happening again. I really doubt it. Nicole is their leader. She's a talking head voiced by Pam Adlin. You know, Bobby Hill.
We're very glad you could join us. We hope you have found our humble abode to your satisfaction.
She's worried about a group called the Children of the Cathedral. Now, they are a religious group. They claim to be all about peace and hope, but dissenters, according to Nicole, have a habit of disappearing. It doesn't help that their leader is named Morpheus, and this is pre-Matrix, so he's probably not even going to give you color-coded drugs. Morpheus was the Greek god of dreams, or at least was heavily associated with dreams. And like the name implies, there was a shape-shifting element involved. Morphing, metamorphosis, right? The creators of Fallout probably knew this and used his name as a bit of a hint. What could that be a hint to? Oh. Nicole would like us to infiltrate the cathedral and meet with the followers' mole, Laura. That's all fine and good, but what we really came here for are the children of the cathedral robes the followers have in one of their rooms. That sentence was goofy. There are some robes here in this building. These will be critical to non-violently getting into places. We return to the hub, which isn't all that far from the Boneyard actually, and do a bit of trading at the general store. We're going to need another length of rope for what's coming up next. Gonna grab some meds while we're here too. The Brotherhood of Steel's base is already marked on our map, and I don't remember when that happened. Maybe it was when Beth mentioned them during the whole Deathclaw thing. Whatever, easier for us. To get into the Brotherhood's base, we need to join the Brotherhood.
That's great. Wait here a second, and let me see what you need to do. Well, I talked to the High Elder, and he said that not just anyone can join. He said you have to complete a quest first. You have to go to the ruins of the Ancient Order, that's south of here. You've got to go inside and bring back something that proves that you were there. You'll do it? You will? Great.
I don't know why, but I love the delivery of those lines. The voice acting in Fallout 1 is sparse, but all of it is just so great. So we gotta go to the glow and grab a thing. Sounds easy enough, but it's really far away. We're gonna have quite the journey ahead of us. I thought I could outrun Bullet.
Your bones.
If you've played Fallout 1 before, you're probably aware that we don't actually have to join the Brotherhood at all, and this trip to the glow is largely unnecessary. You don't really need to come here. In fact, you could go straight to the Mariposa military base right when you come out of the vault. It'll be tough to deal with, but you can do it, and you can deal with the mutants immediately. And that's what I love about these old RPGs. The world doesn't change as you progress, so you can do endgame stuff as soon as you want. It wouldn't surprise me if this feature in old games is less due to the developer's desire to create an unrestricted game world, and is more the result of technical limitations. Updating a bunch of the game based on what quests the player has and hasn't done was probably expensive. Why use more memory than you have to? Now, memory is a dime a dozen, so who cares? Optimization? Memory leaks? Ah, it's the consumer's fault. Don't you have 5090s? I know 5090s aren't memory, but whatever. Never let reality get in the way of a mediocre joke. Although hey, maybe there's a good thing about this AI nonsense. RAM is getting so expensive that companies might have to start actually optimizing their games because no one can afford RAM anymore. I mean, don't you idiots understand? We need all this RAM for the data centers so that finally the billionaires can achieve the singularity and put their brains inside a computer. That's totally gonna work, guys. I mean it. I wonder if Tim Kaine has ever talked about emergent gameplay due to technical limitations over on his YouTube channel. Ooh, a centaur. In Fallout 1, they have 2 heads, one human and one dog. Creepy? Yes. But I think the later centaurs are a bit more horrifying. They look like they want to die. Also, shouldn't these be called chimera, not centaurs? Since it's a mix of 2 things, whatever. When we arrive at the glow, we find it's just a great big hole. A great big radioactive hole. And in 90s video game fashion, it's not obvious what you're supposed to do here. You can fasten a rope to this kind of slightly different mangled piece of metal. I guess it's a bit lighter in color, like a background object in a cartoon that an on-screen character is about to grab. The lack of enemies in this place is actually a bit more concerning than you might think. Just how much radiation is leaking out of this place that it's inhospitable to Fallout monsters. Fortunately, we don't have to descend further than the first level. On this level, we find a dead Brotherhood paladin, or at least a guy wearing power armor, with the yellow keycard for the elevator further down, and a holodisk. This should be good enough proof. Now it's time for the arduous process of returning to civilization while irradiated. Traveling across the world map can be a bit risky depending on how irradiated you are. Too much, and you'll straight up die on the way. But I don't think we were in the glow long enough to get that sick. We might take some damage here and there, but it's probably not going to kill us. Rub some dirt in it. The bigger issue is dealing with random encounters. Sometimes our jinxed trait comes in clutch. Other times, it hangs us out to dry. The tricky thing is knowing when it's smart to save. You don't want to save mid-encounter unless you know you can get away. Ow. I wish there was some way to speed up combat. I have movement speed and everything maxed out, but just look what's happening here. There's a dozen enemies, none of which are attacking me, but I still have to wait for all of them to take their turn before I can run just 9 spaces. Then, again we wait. We're almost to the boneyard. Yowza.
The radiation has taken its toll.
Yeah, that's what it was. Radiation. Thanks, Ron. Oof. Made it. We hand over the holodisk, get 2,000 points of XP, and become an initiate of the Brotherhood of Steel. That experience got us to level 6, meaning we have another perk to choose. Bonus move is a no-brainer. For each level of bonus move, you get 2 free action points each turn that can only be used for movement. This will make running away much easier. For skills, speech and sneak. Get those a bit higher. Now, the reason I didn't buy any Radaway before going to the glow is because the Brotherhood's doctor will cure you free of charge. Why pay for medicine when the local paramilitary subsidizes it? There's a lot of stuff here, a lot of talking heads to talk with. The most important of which is not the Elder, it's Head Scribe Vree. She's got information that will be invaluable later in the game.
Greetings. It's a fine day for learning. Can I help you?
We ask her what's causing all the mutations, and her answer is surprisingly hopeful.
Between the nuclear and biogenic weapons used in the war, it's surprising we don't have more mutations. However, if we can hold out, everything will be okay. All the mutants I've studied have been sterile. They can't breed with another creature. If we could clean up the mutation sources, we should be able to simply outlive the mutants.
Interesting. You have any proof?
Here, take this holodisk. It's got copies of my autopsies on mutant corpses. It clearly shows that no mutant could possibly reproduce successfully.
This holodisk is our golden ticket. It outlines the discoveries she made while dissecting a dead supermutant. Although humanoid in shape, supermutants are much larger. This one standing at 3.2 meters and weighing 363 kilograms, with nearly 80% of that mass being muscle. Not only are they enormous and strong, but their cells reproduce faster, allowing for more immediate healing. Even the actual structure of their genetic material is enhanced, having not just complete strands of DNA, but DNA devoid of recessive genes that cause ailments. She did run some tests for various viruses, and discovered it carried a severe overdose of the Forced Evolutionary Virus 2, which explains all the mutations. What makes her so hopeful is that the gene manipulation performed by the virus is what caused this specimen's sterility. Outliving the mutants is the simplest option, but due to how much of the virus was found on this one mutant alone, she believes there's a place that's generating more, somehow. Perhaps at a military base of some sort. Elder Maxon, a descendant of the founder of the Brotherhood, learned from the hub's water merchants that caravans have been disappearing up north.
I think there's an army in the mountains, but the elders, they don't want to act until they're sure.
We confirm his suspicions, and even offer to go off and scout the vast area to the north for him. How long could mapping all of Southern California take? So doing all this nets us a bit of XP, but the real reason we joined the Brotherhood, aside from Vree's notes, is to get a set of their iconic armor. Maintenance guy Kyle has a broken set of power armor on his table, but even if it were fixed, it's missing its systolic motivator. They use the wrong its, by the way. If we could find one, he'd be willing to install it, and if we can finish the repairs, he'll let us keep the armor. Michael is in charge of the Brotherhood's supply room, a quartermaster of sorts, and normally he just hands out rations of ammunition to Brotherhood recruits. But because our speech is high enough, when we ask for a systolic motivator, we can convince him that our requisition form just hasn't worked its way down to his office yet. It'll show up soon, man. Don't worry. Just give me the motivator. We return to Kyle, he slots the hardware into the armor, and gives us the armor's repair manual. I think that's just a bit of flavor. To fix the armor, you need at least 75 in repair. If you don't have 75, you need 100. That sounds weird, but I believe it's because there are some items in the game that improve your chances to succeed as if your skill were higher. A repair tool adds 20 points to your repair skill when performing actions that require a repair skill check. The 100 requirement is likely a workaround to prevent boosts from working, or you just need really strong boosts. None of that matters though because our repair is high enough anyway. This armor not only grants significant damage threshold, armor class, and damage resistance, but it also boosts our strength by 3, granting more carry capacity. Ironically, the armor is very heavy, so we have to drop a bunch of stuff first before we could pick the armor up and put it on, and then we could pick up all the stuff we just dropped. Now that we're as protected as can be, well, technically we could make the power armor a bit better, but it's not worth the effort. Now that we're almost as protected as we can be, it's time to go on a scouting mission. And this is why we wanted the armor. Getting to the military base means passing through tons of super mutant patrols. The damage reduction and armor class provided by the armor is significant, but we can't ignore the 12 points of damage threshold it provides. What that means is all damage is reduced by 12 points, with the exception of crits, those cut right through defenses. Here's the kicker. Miniguns do a lot of small hits, and plenty of super mutants use miniguns. Those small hits do less damage than our damage threshold. Minigun mutants can't hurt us, unless they crit. Ah, the base. Remember those cultist robes we took from the followers of the apocalypse? Yeah, we're gonna throw those on, because they provide a better defense than the power armor, contextually, at least. The super mutant at the gate stops us, but doesn't immediately attack. We tell him we're with the cathedral, and he lets us pass. The door into the base is locked though. Maybe I should have said we were on a special mission for their master. No matter. We pick the pocket of the mutant near the door, and hope luck is on our side. Excellent. We successfully stole the holotape containing the door's password. Because they think we're friendly, the security force fields aren't up, so we can just waltz through the base, not worrying about anything whatsoever. Except the red barriers, those do damage when you walk through them. I don't know why they installed those. We descend to the lowest level of the base, earning 2,000 experience for getting here without being caught, and go to the control room in the northwest. It's full of similarly dressed humans, not super mutants. Ah, this doubly confirms the children of the cathedral are working with the super mutants. One of the cultists says this is the birthplace of the superior race. Oh. Uh-oh. Those who survive the dipping will become soldiers of God. Individuals are dropped into the vats of the FEV fluid, and if they're lucky, they become nightkin. Otherwise, they die a painful death. So this is the source of the mutants. By using the vat control computer in front of this cultist, we're given several options, including setting the base on high alert. That would be dumb. Instead, we display the security codes. With our science skill, we hack through the firewall, say, "I'm in," and decode the mysterious numbers. Silent self-destruct. 3 minutes. That seems to be the smartest option. Now, does this ruin the Pacifist run? There is definitely a group of people who would argue that blowing up a military base is not something a pacifist would do. But there's no other way to handle this. This is the non-combat route. It's not like we can convince the leader of the mutants here to blow the base up himself. So this is where the run fails. Unless we change the definition of pacifism. It means never fighting when in combat. This isn't combat, and it's not even fighting. So, yeah. We book it for the exit, run to the edge of the map square, and... Remember earlier when I had mentioned a secret bad ending you can get if you tell Harry to take you to his leader? You would be brought here to meet the lieutenant.
Oh, this is excellent. You know, I actually doubted my officers when they said they'd captured a prime normal. It is so nice to see you.
And he would explain what's going on in this place. See, super mutants aren't supposed to be dumb. The problem is that wastelanders have already been exposed to the FEV. It's just naturally out and about. But the FEV their bodies are accustomed to has been mutated by the radiation of the wasteland. So their immune systems are adapted to this slightly different, weirder FEV. As a result, when wastelanders are dipped in the FEV juice, they mutate into stupid super mutants. Prime normals, however, ones who have never been exposed to any FEV, become like the lieutenant.
We are highly intelligent and immune to disease. The strong survive. It is our goal to improve the human race.
You can tell the lieutenant where your vault is, the vault full of prime normals, and if you do, you get dipped, and your vault is discovered. But we don't have to worry about that. The source of the mutants is destroyed. Holy shit! He crit me for 271 friggin' points of damage, oh my god. Anyway, we got 10,000 experience for this, leveling us up twice. Every skill point into Sneak and Speech. And we swing by Elder Maxon to fill him in, getting us another 1,500 experience. Normally you'd come back here immediately after finding the base, convince the other elders of the threat, and get yourself a small squad of knights to help you storm the base. Violently. This was faster. Much like the military base, we can infiltrate the children of the cathedral by dressing up like them, except it's more obvious that it would work here than it is there. It's a little 1984 here, but that's alright because we've never actually read that book. The cultist in the northwestern chunk of the building is not a talking head, but he does have unique dialogue. We ask to speak with a man in charge, and he warns us that the Nightkin are unlikely to allow us to pass into the tower, where Father Morpheus resides. However, we're a charming fella, and he gives us a symbol, a little bauble we can show the Nightkin that lets him know that we're cool. The problem is, the door leading to the tower is locked. We have permission to ascend, but no one actually opened the damn door for us. You can pick the lock, but our lockpick skill is terrible. But do you remember the conversation we had with Nicole back at the Followers of the Apocalypse headquarters? There's a mole here, Laura.
Hello, my brother.
A talking head, and she's voiced by Catherine Susi.
I most certainly am. Did you want something?
Who also did the voice of Phil and Lil on the Rugrats. By speaking the secret code, Red Rider, she believes us when we say we were sent by Nicole. She ambles over to a different part of the cathedral at a breakneck pace and tells us,
"It's not the inner sanctum you want to enter. I've followed Morpheus down a back secret staircase. The guy activates a secret door at the bottom. He uses this strange key to open it and disappears. I've never tried to follow him."
Although Laura doesn't have the key, she can at least show us the door that Morpheus's key unlocks. But really we just needed her to unlock the tower door. We ascend the stairs and meet Father Morpheus. Fortunately, we're a smooth talker, so having a productive conversation with him isn't too big of an ask.
I don't remember inviting anyone to my room, and yet I have a visitor. Why?
I have a deal for you.
What could you possibly offer me?
I'm from a vault. You know what that is, right?
Go on.
I'd like to give your master a bit of information about my vault.
I do not have a master, you imbecile!
Oof, a hit dog will holler.
No one controls me. He and I are partners.
Roommates. It doesn't matter. I have information about a vault he would want.
Fine. I will take you to the master, but if you are lying, you will know.
But we're not going to take this route. There's another way in that's more interesting. Also, when I originally went this way, I didn't have the key, and I wasn't able to escape. I couldn't pick the lock. So, instead, we reload an earlier save and pick Morpheus's pocket, taking the black radiation symbol key thing. We use that key to open the locked door blocking the basement, head into the basement, and use the key again on this inconspicuous wall. We got mutants hanging about, but we're wearing purple robes, so they leave us alone. Mutants can't see purple. The super mutants guarding the vault stop us, accusing us of not following proper procedure. Asking what the correct procedure is would give us away, so we just accept the criticism and carry onward. On the second level, past the first level of Planescape Torment and the re-education hall, are 4 prisoners. One of them says Jason is a living god. Who is Jason? I don't know, but only the nullified may pass. See, these guys are psychers. They're wearing little gadgets on their heads that suppress their psychic powers. I guess having high intelligence allows us to deduce that from vibes alone. After some confusing back and forth, the psyker gives us his nullifier, which we'll need on level 3, lest the flesh hallway tear out our eyes. That's not a joke.
So what shall it be?
This is the Master. This is Richard Gray, actually. The vat he fell into was the FEV, and he's been tinkering with it ever since.
Do you join the Unity, or do you die here?
Join.
Die!
Join.
Die!
If you can prove that your Unity is the best course for humanity, then I will help you.
I don't have to prove anything to you!
Prove.
I can't know you represent the best future unless you prove it to me.
Very demanding for one in your tenuous position. But I can
respect
your needs.
So tell me.
The Unity will bring about the master race.
Master.
Master!
One able to survive, or even
Thrive.
in the wasteland. As long as there are differences, we will
Tear ourselves apart!
fighting each other. We need one race.
Race.
Race!
One goal.
Goal!
Goal.
One people to move forward to our destiny. Destiny.
The race being mutants, of course.
Of course.
Mutants are best equipped to deal with the world today.
Who else?
The ghouls?
Please.
Normals?
They brought nuclear death to us all. This will be the age of mutants. Mutants.
You mean to change all others into mutants as well?
All that...
Resist?
Yes. And all those that are required for the...
Unity?
As well. The remainder will be allowed to live out their days. But under... Unity.
Control.
And protection.
But none shall breed. For they will be the last of their race.
You got a bit of a problem with your master plan.
And what is that?
I happen to know that your mutants are sterile.
Preposterous!
The FEV2 virus doesn't destroy the reproductive organs of those it mutates.
Perhaps the virus didn't sterilize people once, but it does now. Also, FEV2 virus is redundant. The V stands for virus, idiot.
Do you have proof?
Of course I do. This random holodisk that anyone could have written is more than enough proof.
I must digest this information. One moment. I understand now. You made a clever forgery. You made this up to fool me.
Fool!
Me.
You're lying. You're denying the facts in front of you.
But it cannot be. This would mean that
All my work.
has been for nothing. Everything that I've tried to...
A failure!
It can't be.
Sorry, this isn't an option for you. Your race will die out after this generation.
I don't think that I can continue
Continue?
to have done the things I have done in the name of progress and healing. It was madness. I can see that now. Madness.
Madness?
There is no hope. Leave now. Leave while you still have.
Hope.
Alright, we got 240 seconds to get out of this place. It's different this time, though. With the military base, we pushed the explode button. Here, all we did was talk to the master. What's about to happen is his decision. There is an option to blow up the base ourselves, going a different path, but then we wouldn't meet the master, and that's no fun.
You managed to destroy the vats. Then you killed the master before he could realize his twisted plans.
No, Ron. I didn't kill him. He blew himself up.
With the master gone, his armies flee to the east in fear of retribution from the remaining normals. The mutant attack on Necropolis spares none of its ghoulish inhabitants.
Oops.
After the mutant armies advance, they leave a truly dead city behind them. The followers of the apocalypse rise to become a major influence in New California. With your help, they gain control of the LA Boneyard.
I guess that's fine.
In Shady Sands, Tandy helps her father Aradesh bring a new community and new life out of the broken remains of the world. They are responsible for the New California Republic, whose ideals spread across the land.
Nothing says republic like a president serving for half a century, but we don't know that yet. The fuck is this?
Junktown becomes the new boom town under the careful and profitable guidance of Don Gizmo. He profits the most and continues to increase the size of his casino and the scope of his power until he chokes to death while eating some iguana on a stick. The Brotherhood of Steel helps the other human outposts drive the mutant armies away with minimal loss of life on both sides of the conflict. The advanced technology of the Brotherhood is slowly reintroduced into New California with little disruption or chaos. The Brotherhood wisely remains out of the power structure and becomes a major research and development house.
West Coast Brotherhood is a bit more chill, huh?
The hub disperses before the might of the mutant army and will never recover.
Oh well.
The Desert Raiders pillage most of the northern parts of New California. They are a scourge that lasts for years until a rebel army of mutants brings them down.
Haha.
Your involvement with the various places and people of the wasteland is well documented by future historians. Only a single question remained unanswered. What happened to you?
Ah, home sweet home.
You've done it. That's wonderful, amazing. I'm so proud of what you've accomplished, what you've endured. There's no way the people of the Vault can ever thank you enough for what you've done. You've saved all our lives. Who knows? Maybe even saved the human race. Yes. That makes the rest of this even harder. Everyone will want to talk to you. Every youngster will look up to you and want to emulate you. And then what? They'll want to leave. What happens to the Vault if we lose the best of a generation? What if we are the only safe place in the world? You just gave us back all these lives. I can't take the chance of losing them.
If everyone leaves, I'll have no one to oversee. My power, fleeting.
I've made a lot of tough decisions since I took this position, but none of them harder than this one. You saved us, but you'll kill us. I'm sorry. You're a hero, and you have to leave.
You know, if you have the Bloody Mess perk, you can actually kill this guy as he's walking back into the vault. Fallout 1 is a kind of pacifist. So I played this game for the first time this year, and I couldn't be happier that I did. It is fantastic. It's a bit janky in places, but, I mean, it's from the 20th century, what can you expect? Thanks again to War Thunder for sponsoring this video. Use my links in the description or the pinned comment to play for free on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, or mobile. For anyone who hasn't played War Thunder yet, or are returning after a break of at least 6 months, will receive a massive bonus pack including premium vehicles, 100,000 silver lions, and 7 days of premium account.